Hi, welcome back, guys. I've been putting this one off because I don't like confrontation, but it has to be done. The second lie about Satan that a lot of women, young people believe. You know, this is not a popular subject by no means. And I don't know who God's going to direct to this video. But I can tell you this, I've lived this and I've experienced it. I've seen God give people victory from it, myself included. So listen with intention and let's see what God does in your life. Lies about Satan that we tend to believe. I've never been exposed to satanic activities. Is this you? If somebody was to come to you and ask you that, would you say, I've never been exposed to satanic activities? I've never done anything like that before. Well, sister, let's investigate. Because I would have told you that too. But you know what? I allowed Satan to get in my life in a lot of areas, and God's really working, still working in my life. But let's investigate these things. How about this? Have you ever looked at or read a horoscope? Have you ever participated in a psychic activities? Have you ever had your palm read? Ever played a video game or watched a television show or maybe a movie that portrayed or it portraying a demonic forces or witchcraft in a positive way? I don't know what I put there, that PowerPoint, but anyway, have you ever watched anything that made sin look inviting? Mm. It has a way of distorting who you are. You see all that satanic activity. It's not what you would think in modern culture, and back in the day, Ouija boards and all that stuff. I mean, it goes even more deep in that. And you have to be really careful. There was a particular TV show, I'm not gonna say which one it is, but there was a show that I was watching, and it wasn't bad. It didn't have, like, what you would consider things that were bad in it. But I liked it. I liked the storyline of it, and I would watch it. But every time I watched that show, it seemed like Alan and I got in a fight every time. And I got to thinking about that, and it wasn't until I don't guess a couple episodes into it that he had sat down and watched it with me, and he's like, "Man, this is kind of dark, isn't it?" And I thought, "Dark?" Didn't even dawn on me. And I began to pray about it, and he was right, and God convicted me, and I quit watching it, and we didn't have the silly fights. So what do you say is what's going on there? Well, I was opening up my home to satanic activity. I was allowing Satan to come into my home through the television and that particular show. And it was causing him to put things in my mind because every fight that we had, I started. It was crazy because it was things that I was listening to inside of my head. And you know, where was that coming from? When my kids were little, we had several of these things happen. One time we had the Disney Channel, and you do what you want to do about Disney. I'm not here to debate you. But my teenage girls at the time, preteen girls, they were like maybe fourth, fifth grade, somewhere around there. And they were developing these attitudes. And I'm thinking, where are you getting these attitudes? And we were very careful what we let our kids watch. We were just very careful about it. And one day I was cooking supper and I heard a show that they were watching on Disney Channel. And I thought, I think this is where they're getting this attitude. And so we prayed about it, Al and I did, and we both agreed. Let's just cut it off. Let's just get rid of all that. And we did. Within 2 weeks, our girls' attitudes and their respect and their whole demeanor changed. Blew my mind. What are you allowing in your home? What are you allowing in your home? I've had ladies, friends of mine over the years who their children have had nightmares or or they'd be having night terrors. I had one friend that child was having night terrors. And she's like, we've done everything we know to do. I mean, they don't watch anything, they're not listening to anything. We don't understand. And as they begin to pray, one particular young couple I love, their little girl was having this, and it was a night light in their room. It was something in their room. They felt like God just told them to get rid of that as they began to pray about it. And they did, and she quit having those night terrors. Now, I don't understand all that. But I do know that if you're serious about getting Satan out of your home, then you're going to have to start praying about it. See, the truth is, in the Word of God, there's several scriptures. One in Deuteronomy chapter 18, there shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire. Talking about idol worship there. Or that uses divination or observer of times or an enchanter or a witch or a charmer or a consulter with familiar spirits or a wizard or a necromancer. For all that do these things are an abomination unto the Lord. And because of these abominations, Lord thy God both drive them out from before thee. Yeah, it's not popular, but God don't like those things. And I question, why would you want to open up a door of evil in your home? And I've had this discussion many times with parents. When my kids were little, Harry Potter was the rage, and we wouldn't let it in our home. Now you do what you want to in your home, but we didn't allow it in our home. We had convictions about that with our children, and we didn't allow it in our home. Neither do we allow the Twilight Saga mess. And you could, like I said, feel what you want to feel about it. But anything that portrayed evil as good, where did we get thinking that's okay? I don't judge people for what they do. I don't judge people for I feel like that everybody has to work out their own salvation, and everybody's in a different place in their sanctification. Okay. So I'm not coming at, I love people. I really do. And I have a lot of friends that read stuff and watch stuff, and they know, they look at me and they're, oh, she's one of them. And I said, yes, I am. So whatever. And we get along, we're fine. But my question is, if you know that it's allowing an evil presence, just a tiny bit in your home. And I'm going to tell you, Satan only needs a toenail to get in your home. Why are you allowing it? So many times I've sat in front of moms and they come to see me, moms and daughters or whatever, and they'll be like, I can't do nothing with her. She's disrespectful. She won't listen to me. She has a bad attitude, and ABC, ABC. And then I begin to dive into their life. And what are they watching? What are they listening to? And there you go. There are some common denominators. And then it's a slow process because they begin to do those things. And Satan has a little bit, and then he gets you interested in more and more and more. And it's like a domino effect where you allow a little bit, and then you're letting more and more into your homes and into your lives until all of a sudden you're taken captive. And it's a lot harder to backtrack and get it out. Best just not let it in at all. Right? Something to think about, right? Here's another scripture. Leviticus 26, and the soul that turneth after such as have familiar spirits and after wizards to go whoring after them, I will even set my face against that soul and will cut him off from among his people. God's people are clearly not to have anything to do with these type of things. I mean, it's clear. It's not one of those things you want to mess with, right? You just don't mess with it. So let's just dive into this. In a Barna survey conducted with Christian teens between the ages of 13 and 19, 72% had looked at a horoscope. Now, this survey was done in 2010. It's been a while. But 72% had looked at or read horoscopes. 28% had had their palm read. And 82% had participated watching things related to psychics, demonic activities, witchcraft, paranormal, dark spiritual things. 82%. No wonder. I guarantee you that number's a lot higher today in 2022, 23. It's the reason why we're seeing such a rise in um, anxiety, depression. I think that has a lot to do with it. I really do. Because behind depression, anxiety, and stress and fear, especially fear, you have an enemy, right? He does things to create that, right? Yeah, right. How about the things you don't even think about? How about yoga? I know I can hear some of you women now. Don't be getting on my yoga. It's all how you look at it. You don't have to do all that meditation. You can just do the exercises. Well, if that's the case, why aren't you doing Pilates? Because I'm going to tell you, yoga, I've done my research here. Because I came real close. There was a Christian young lady that was doing yoga, and I thought, I need to do some stretching exercise, some exercise. And I looked into it, and I had a sister friend like, you don't want to do that. That's bad. And I thought, well, how can it be bad? She's telling me over here that as long as you don't meditate to their gods and you think about your God, then it's not, what's the difference? So I did my own research. And sisters, that's what I want you to do. Do your own research. Don't take my word for it. Yoga was started thousands of years ago. The word yoga is an old word from the Sanskrit yug, which means to yoke. And many positions in the yoga mindset is to open up who you are so you can yoke up with their gods. It's a meditation. Now, when you do a comparison, apples to apples of yoga and Pilates, they use a lot of the same positions. They call them different things. But yoga and everything that I've researched, doing my research, yoga works on stress and the mind. Pilates works on your core and your strength and your body. And Pilates was developed in the 20s by a man that was focusing on your body, slow stretches and everything like that. So Pilates is a great alternative. And it goes back to what I was telling you a while ago. I don't want to argue with you about this. So don't even waste your breath because I'm not going to argue with you. I'm just going to tell you, do your own research. But if you're a Christian young woman, why in the world would you want to do something that potentially could open up evil into your life? When you can do Pilates movements and a Pilates class or whatever, and it's the same thing, more or less. Get you thinking. If rebellion and an anger wells up in you right now, you need to be thinking. Because it's coming from somewhere. Research it yourself. You know what the biggest issue for me was? My heart, unforgiveness, rebellion, pride. Let's just talk about that a minute. Or I don't want to. Right? But those are the things in my life I allow Satan. I'm not going to say I did because I still do. These are things I still battle with today. And you kind of test it in your own life. When you start listening to some gossip or you start dwelling on the things that God doesn't want you to dwell on, things that are pure, lovely, truth, and see if you don't begin to think other things. And I get so caught up in all that before you know it, I'm as angry and as wired tight and just strung to like this. And I literally have to start praying and saying, God, help me. And I think back, I've been really trying to take note of this in the last month or so of my life. Al and I quit watching news. We don't watch news anymore. I tell my kids, if the world's getting ready to blow up, don't tell your dad and I. We just ain't going to know. We had to choose to do that. We were getting so spiritually bogged down. Now we know the major things because at school, There's a little Christian World Watch thing that the kids watch every day, and I know kind of what's going on. But all these news programs and all this stuff, I mean, you listen to all that long enough, you're going to be hopeless. You're going to be angry. And it wasn't putting me in a spiritual state of mind to do what God's called me to do. Yeah. So I read the headlines and move on. We don't get bogged down in those things. We don't watch. We just read the headlines, what's happening today, and move on. Because I get bitter. It only takes a little thing. It only takes a little thing for me to get aggravated at one of my kids and dwell on it. And next thing I know, before the day is out, I'm like so frustrated. I'm like, this is stupid. Where does this come from? Oh, here's a big one, sisters. When somebody that you really, really love, and all of a sudden out of the blue, you're beginning to feel a little bit weird toward them, like you think that they're getting on your nerves, or you think that you're getting on their nerves, or there's something weird going on. I've learned, I have a dear friend, and she and I have learned now that when that happens, Satan's after us. That's a satanic, that is a lie. So what if we opened up ourselves to allow that in? Just get on your knees and get rid of it. That's what's so cool, is that we have the authority to get on our knees and get rid of it. We don't wrestle against flesh and blood, against principalities and darkness. We have authority through who lives within us over the enemy. I just told a precious young pastor's wife just not too long ago, you don't have authority over your husband, but you have authority through Christ. He has authority. You call him daddy. My husband preached a message last Sunday. He's been 2 for 2, man. He preached one this week that was unbelievable. And then last week I've used it. I told him, I said, babe, I've used that all week. When people, you don't understand what they're doing and whatever, just give them back to Jesus. Just give them back to him. Say, God, they're yours. Take care of them, right? I don't know where I was going with that. But let's finish this up. So, making adjustments may mean loneliness. Maybe you're realizing today, I've been walking in darkness. People don't like the light. They love the darkness. John 3:19 tells us that. See, Jesus can rescue you. He can work in you. He can work in the light if you just trust him. Just trust him. Walking with Christ may mean you're lonely. That picture was of my daughter, Becca. I remember when she was in middle school, a lot of the girls got to go and do things, and she didn't get to go. She didn't want to go. She had convictions. God was already working her hard. But because of that, she didn't have a lot of friends. It was a lonely time for her. She was different. She made it out okay. If you're young and listen to this, you may be lonely for what the world standards are of friends. But walking with Christ and trusting Christ is living. My sweet Madison, who hopefully will be doing some videos with me soon, told me the other day, and it aggravated me. Honestly, it just kind of aggravated me. How people were telling her she needed to live a little bit. And I started questioning her. I said, what do they mean, live a little bit? You've got a full. She said, can you believe these are adults telling me I need to go out and party and drink and maybe get a tattoo and just live a little bit? And I'm like, no, I can't believe that. She said, I told them I have lived. I am living. Serving Christ is living. I'm so proud of her. Don't listen to the world. See, that's what happens. When you watch things, when you listen to things, when you watch things, when you listen to things, when you gather the concept of the world and you mix it with Christianity, you become a cultural Christian. And that's when you begin to think, well, maybe I am missing out on something. Maybe I do need to live a little bit. No. That's Satan's way of getting his toenail into your life and trying to convince you that you're wrong and that you're missing out on something. And that's a lie too, remember? And you're not. And God's got a full and abundant life for you. Don't fall for that mess. And the best way to quit falling for that mess is to get it out of your life. Get out of your life. Start praying for God to help you become as clean as you can. We're all about our clean eating today. How about clean spiritually? God, I want to be clean. I just want to glorify and honor you. I just want to make a difference in our world for you, one at a time, one person at a time. I hope you have a great week. I love you. I hope you hear this and take this with love because God is love. He loves you and He wants you to have a full, abundant life. And He wants you to be equipped with how to defeat Satan. And I have the same goals. I want you to feel loved and have victory. Have a great week. I'll see you when I see you. My life's so busy. We'll get around to it. Just keep looking. If you're on YouTube, subscribe. You'll get a ding. And then watch it on YouTube if you can. That way we can reach more women for Christ. I love you. Have a great day. And anyway, see you on the other side, if not sooner.